Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Explain 11 video. Today I thought we'd have a look at this fantastic aircraft by Rotate, the MD80. I thought today we'd have a look at this aircraft in VR, and we'll have a look how to set it up from cold and dark. I've done a cold and dark video on the aircraft before, but this time I thought we'd set it up from cold and dark in VR and show you how to load the aircraft and get it off the ground. I think it's a very underestimated aircraft in a lot of ways. I think because it's nothing like a Boeing or nothing like an Airbus, it may put people off a little bit, but it's one of my favourite aircrafts for Explain 11, without a doubt. It's very good on FPS. Works fantastic in VR, and it's just a good aircraft. I would recommend you go and get this aircraft and give it a go, because it's a lot of fun. So what we'll do, we're in 2D at the moment. We'll stop in 2D because I want to show you the load sheet, and we'll load the aircraft up. Today we're at LIPZ, Venice Marco Polo Airport, and I'm going to set up a flight that goes to Cardiff in the UK, EGFF. So we'll show you how to load the load sheet and set up the FMC and get the thing off the ground. So let's have a look at the load sheet next. Okay, so we are in the cockpit. We're still in 2D at the moment, because I just want to show you this this load sheet here. I've already put the figures in, just type them in. Total fuel 10,700 kilograms. I've got 71 passengers in the forward and 80 in the aft. All the cargo stations have got 125 kilograms of weight in there, which is a total of 13,723. The most important bit, you must put the trip fuel in, which for my case today is 6122. Now if you've got the loads, if it's too heavy or you've got it distributed in the wrong way, then you'll get a red error message just down there. If you get that, you need to alter the load. You know, sometimes you might put too many passengers in one area and not the other. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you'll get to know when you start putting this load sheet in. So having done all that, I always use kilograms, by the way. Some people like it, do it in pounds. Just make sure you get the figures correct for whichever one you're doing. Okay, I'm going to switch the page over now, and if we go from top to bottom, we want to request the GPU, and what I normally do is load the fuel, open the cargo doors, load the fuel, cargo, and I'll leave the passengers until I've set the aircraft up. Set the FMC, etc. But just for today we're going to start all of them, open the doors and get the stairs and the rear door, and start loading the passengers and everything on the aircraft. Now just to save time, as you can see, it's going to be nearly 10 minutes for the fuel to load. What we'll just do is just expedite one of these values, and you can see the aircraft dipping down there. And we'll also close the doors, and then we can get into the aircraft and start setting up the FMC, etc. Now when you click on these doors, it's a few seconds before you actually get the message whether it's with a shutter or not, so just be a little bit patient on the buttons. Just wait for that one. There we are, they're all closed now. We need the GPU on, so we'll leave that just for the time being, and we'll come back in a few seconds and I'll go switch to VR. Okay guys, so here we are in VR. As you can see, we're all cold and dark, nothing on the displays or anything. This is the way I set the aircraft up. It may not be the official way, or the proper way, I don't know. But I find it quite easy to do it this way, and it's just the way I've been doing it for quite some time. So first of all, we'll switch the battery on. Some lights up there, and next switch, if you look above, we've got external power available, so we'll switch those two switches on. There we go, and I usually come down to it on the emergency lights and switch on the seatbelts and no smoking. Now if we just go over to the right, I can put the IRSs to nav. And your damper on. Just come down and have a look down. I think that's all up for the time being. We'll switch one of the fuel pumps on the right hand side. And what I normally do at this stage is turn up the brightness on the displays, which is just in front of you there. Two controls there. And also turn up the FMC brightness there. Okay, so we'll just move up a little bit closer to the FMC there, and as you can see we've got enter IRS position, so we'll just delete that and clear that. Go to position INI page, and we need to type in the airport we're at the moment, which is LIPZ. I'll put that in the reference airport there. That'll give us the coordinates, and we can put that coordinates into the that bit of the display there to give the IRSs a clue where we are. So we'll click on that, and goes into the scratch pad, and then click it into that position. Now we go to route, and we're going LIPZ to EGFF, which is Cardiff in the UK. EGFF. That's up there. Now I have put a route in to explain routes using EFAS, and so if I just type into the scratch pad LIPZ, LIPZ EGFF, and I pop that into the co-route there, company route. There it goes, and it's in there because it says activate. It just saves you having to type it all out. Makes life a bit easier. There we go. Now if you click the execute button now, you'll get a message IRS is not aligned, so just leave that a little bit until the IRSs are properly aligned. We'll just clear that out the way. So just have a quick look at the legs page now. There's our route for today. Next thing I will do is go to the INI page, go to the index and performance, and we can click on 0 fuel weight, and it'll populate the necessary numbers in there. Reserve, we'll put 1.5. Cost index 20. These are just the numbers that I normally use, and a cruise altitude of 360. Now, if depending on the weight of the aircraft, it's telling me now the maximum altitude I can go is 340. So we'll change that now to 340. Once you've got rid of a bit of fuel, you probably would be able to go up to 360, but we'll put 340 for the time being. And that will do us for that. Transition 6000. Not sure what it is at Venice, but we'll just put that in for now. Don't forget, we're not quite aligned yet, so I won't click the execute button. Next thing we'd normally do is to select the runway we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to now just go to the departure. We'll be using runway 04 left and Rocky 5W. Okay. Now ILS is still on to line, so we need to just clear that for the time being. Now we can go to route a minute. Done the performance and the initialization and takeoff now. Now if we just click on the temperature button there, if we look up there, it says 27 degrees, but you can click on the button and it puts it in for you. Now what we're looking at in a second, just pop in the V1, VR and V2 numbers in the FMC, and we're looking for this figure here, which is 10, which is your centre of gravity. Now what we need to do for this, just grab the other controller, come back a little bit. Okay, now remember it was 10, so on this left hand roller wheel here we need to dial up the number 10, and next to that is our flap position we're going to use. Now I usually use 11, so I'll dial that up to 11, and that sliding switch there, there's another one, just move around a little bit. Can you see that grey one there? We need to, by using this lever here, a trim lever, we need to move that lever there, that indicator there, to match with this green one on the left. So we just pull it down like so, and you can see it coming down now, and we need to get it more or less in the same position as the green one on the left. It sounds a bit complicated, but it's not. A little bit more. I think that's probably about right. Okay. It says, you can tell if it's right because it says there long trim 7, and that lever, if you look, is between 6 and 8, which is 7. Next bit later on we'll set the flaps to 11. Whilst we just over this side of the aircraft, there's a couple of switches just in front of me now, which are the hydraulic pumps. We need to switch those on. There's 4 altogether, and up with that one. Okay, so we can move back now, back to the captain's side. So we've got the FMC set up now. If we just make a note of the V2 is 160 plus 10, so we set the speed to about 170. You can put it at 250 if you want, it's up to you. Just dial that up a little bit. Oop. Okay, while we're on the MCP, we'll dial in an altitude. We'll take it to 6,000 for the initial climb, 6,000 feet, and that'll do us for the moment. IRSs, I think, now are aligned, so if we execute that button now, there we go, everything's gone in. Click on the legs, and there's all our information in the aircraft. We can set up the rest of the aircraft now, but just before we do that, we'll get the APU up and going. So to start the APU, we need to click on the start pump there, go over to the right, and there's the APU starter switch. Pull that down, and you'll notice that gauge there starting to spool up, and as soon as the APU is available, we'll get a blue light there, and we can put the APU on bus and then turn off the ground power. Okay guys, I just nipped out of VR and switched off the ground. First of all, I switched on the APU because the light was available. I switched off the ground power and I went into the menu and switched it off in the menu, and I also set the QNH to 1008, which is what we are at the moment in Venice. So next thing to do, we've got the APU up and running. We'll put the air switch down, and these two get some air into the cabin. We can put some pumps on. There we go. Switch the start pump off because we've got the APU up and running now. And what we'll do, I think we're almost ready to call the push truck. I'll set that to 6. Let's get that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I can get it, there we go. Tricky in VR this. That's it. Okay, so we're all back to normal, and I've got to just adjust this. I had to restart the sim, unfortunately, because just as I started the next part of the video, I had a problem. Nothing major, just had to restart it. Okay, so there we go. I think we're now ready to call the pushback truck. I'll just turn this button here to map. So we've got the map display down there, and execute that because we've now got the IRSs all lined up and everything. That's okay. And we'll turn that down to the range down to 10. So I think we're good to go. Flight directors on. As I say, we've got this message up now. Is when I put those on. We've got the vertical speed. If we go into the middle of that button and pull it out, we'll have and we've got heading held, and we've got 6,000 on the display there. The other thing we're going to do is EPR limiter there. If we click on that, and if there's a button there, you can see TO flex, takeoff flex. We'll use a flex takeoff just to reduce the power to the engines. And I think that's about it now. Everything looks good. We can put the captain heat on and the window heat on there, and then we can call the pushback truck. Of course, we're now ready for pushback. So I've got a button on the joystick here. I just press that now.
Please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
There we go. I had a problem there because I had to have the I was looking at Oculus mirror. I have to have the X-plane screen up before I can actually hit the enter button to get the pushback truck to know where I'm going to go. So here we go. We'll just wait for that to roll up now, and we can start the engines. Now, to start the engines, we need to have the bleed switches on, which are those there. Push those up. Turn those two off, the air switches, put the starter to system A or B, it doesn't matter which, and we can pull the guard down ready, and when it tells us we can start the engine, we can pull that switch down there. And
okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
And the engines will spool up. What we're looking for on the engines before we put some fuel in is that if we do the engine 2 first, that gauge there needs to spool up to about 21, and then we can hit the fuel lever there up, and that will get the engines up and running. I think everything else looks okay. Fantastic aircraft. I really like this aircraft. It's really good. It's a real joy to fly. Old-fashioned in some ways with the gauges and whatnot, but it makes a nice change.
Connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Release the brake. There we go.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, so we've started the engines now. We just have to pull that switch down, and you'll see that gauge there starting to spool up. It does take a while. It's a bit slow. I don't know whether that's how it is in real life, but we need to wait for it to get to about 21, and then we'll inject some fuel. Nice day in Venice here today. It's nice and clear, just a few clouds, and I think it's 27 degrees C, so it's very nice. Okay, getting there now. 19 on the gauge, 20 and 21. We can put that up there now. You'll know when the engine's up and running because the displays will flicker and you'll hear a noise, and then we can start the engine number 1 in the same way. There's the flicker. Okay, so we can now switch that switch up, close the guard, open the guard on engine 1 and pull the switch down. And as you can see on this display now, that's starting to spool up nicely. So we've got the engine 1 starting up. I'm not flying online today, just on my own with a few bits of traffic about. Well, there was earlier, there were some cars and trucks flying about somewhere, but it's just me and the aircraft. Okay. Who are we? 18, 19, 20 and 21. I think the only thing I don't like about this aircraft is the window reflections. You can't see them at the moment. Well, you can, I don't mean you can make them out just in front of the aircraft there, but at night it's a real pain because you can't see, all you can see is reflections, and I've not found a way of being able to turn those reflections off. But that's about the only thing as I don't like about the aircraft. There we go, switch that switch up now. Close the guard, we don't need that on now. And we don't need the APU, so we turn that off, and that's the APU switch, turn that off, and we don't need the bleeds, we can pop those back down now, and pop the air on, air conditioning, and I think we're almost good to go. We just need to set the brakes to RTO, anti-clockwise on the switch, and throw the switch up, and then we just need to wait for this chap to disconnect and we can get rolling out to the runway. Any second now.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Well, that's setting or not. Just put that controller down a bit. Ah, I've just realised what I've not done after that restart. Try that now. Now it's funny though, it's because
disconnecting tow. Stand by.
I could turn it off, but not on. Probably makes sense, doesn't it? Got some hydraulics there now, so pop these flaps up to 11, and you'll see on that display there where it says flaps are 2 white lines will start coming down as they are now. We're looking for them to be on that position 11 there, and then we're good to go. Only a couple of warnings at the top. We've got flight recorder off and parking brake on. The flight recorder off will disappear when we get rolling, and of course the parking brake will go off when we release the brake. Yeah, I think we're okay now.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, so here we go. We've got the push back truck has disappeared. We can switch the nose lights on, the brake off, put a bit of power on. Now, a good thing to do I've found when you start your taxi run is just to put the throttles forward quite a way and then pull them back. When you get to about that point, sometimes you'll get a warning noise, and that's because you haven't got this trim set, or your flaps aren't set, but it will tell you which one, because sometimes these two buttons here, you think they're aligned and they're not quite right. So if you do get that, when you push the throttles, it'll just test them out before you get to the runway and start doing it rolling down the runway. So we're taxiing out to 04 left here. We can now put the well, you usually do this when you get to the runway. We'll put the radar on, and we'll put the TCAS on now as well. I usually do that just before entering the runway. Taxi out nice and slow. takes a bit of power on this to get it going, but once it gets going, it flies along. And what we'll do a takeoff and get up to a few thousand feet, and just gives you an idea of how to get this aircraft up in the air. It's really good aircraft to fly. I've took the wrong turning there, actually. I should have gone straight
approaching
up.
04 left.
Yeah, what we'll do, we'll go round here and come round the top. Oh, that was right, yeah, because I can't go up that way anyway, so okay, that's fine. Yeah, it just gives you an idea of how to fly the aircraft, and I'll tell you, it's a fantastic, once you get the hang of it, it's a fantastic aircraft to fly. I really like this aircraft, and it does make a change from your usual Boeings and Airbus, although I do like both of those as well. But it's a bit of a challenge, this one, at first.
Approaching 04 left.
I'll come round onto the runway now. It's a bit of a challenge, but it's really worth giving this aircraft a try. It's quite great.
On runway
now then,
04 left.
What they recommend in the manual is there's a button there, which is like a toga button. I don't think it works in VR, that particular button, but I don't use it anyway. I just get lined up on the runway, ready to go, and as soon as you click that auto throttle button there, you'll start speeding down the runway. So let's just give it a bit of throttle, and then up with that button, and you'll start going. Not sure how long this runway is, I didn't check, but we're still should be okay for length anyway. We're looking for about 170 on the V2. And there we go. Just pulling those back and gear up. Just dip it down a little bit there. Now we can put the autopilot on, and we can put the nav. We've got nav track and we've got vertical speed. And what we need to do now is just switch this switch here to CL, which is climb. And we should follow the flight director out now. And we can now switch to, we've got the nav on, we can also switch to VNAV. We've got VNAV climb, nav track. It's running on the FMS now for the speeds, etc. And we're going to climb to 6,000 feet. It's just slowed down the climb there because it wants to get up to 240 knots. We can put the flaps up now, and we can turn off the brakes and just let it climb with the FMC, and that's got to put the strobes on, and of course the landing lights. Well, that's a worry. So that's how we get the MD80 up. And if I look in now, you can see those reflections are a bit annoying, and I wish we could get rid of those, but as of yet I've not found out a way to do it. But there we go, fantastic aircraft, I love it, and I'm sure you'll like to fly it as well. So as usual, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with another video. Probably will be in VR. By the way, I've got the Oculus S now, and they're much improved on the old Oculus, and as I think I've said before, I don't fly out of VR now. I use VR all the time. It's just fantastic and I love it. Thanks for watching, see you next time, bye.